So if you ever battled with commission and you just find it hard to really keep track of the commission that you are supposed to earn this month, maybe what you actually received in your bank account versus what was shown to you on the quote, well, there's a fantastic solution. And today we talk to Johan Vosloo from Commspace. So stay tuned for the interview.
This is Propulsion, the financial professional's catalyst to exponential growth. Are you a driven and ambitious financial professional, but you are finding it hard to break through to the next level? Or are you struggling to build and run your practice successfully? Join Francois du Toit, a leading consultant and trainer, as he interviews not only the experts, but also people you have never heard of before, but who have done amazing things, about how they run their practices, the challenges they face, how they overcome those challenges, their failures, which tech has improved their business, how their revenue models work, and other practical aspects. We go deep so you can learn as much as possible. And here is your host, Francois du Toit.
My guest today is Johan Vosloo, the original and sole founder initially of Commspace. And it was quite interesting for me to hear that we hail from the same state, which is the Free State. Johan, welcome to Propulsion.
Thank you, Francois. It's a great pleasure to be here, finally.
Yes, we did battle to get to meet and to have this conversation. So I'm really excited to get into it with you today. And just tell us, where did Commspace originate from? How did you start? And we know it's a big issue, so let me just lead with that. We know it's a big issue to just keep track of commissions, specifically for the IFA. You know, a lot of times I think somebody is it's just a one-man show, and they think they don't need these things, and they don't even have the time to get and look at the commission statements and really analyze them always. So I think the need is bigger than what people thought. So I guess that somewhere had something to do with where Commspace started.
Oh, absolutely. The original request for Commspace came from my dad, funny enough. He was quite a successful financial advisor, had a big practice in, of all places, Bethlehem in the Free State. He started off life in the 80s as a tied Sanlam advisor, later independent, and then later was one of the early PSG franchises. Basically, he contacted me in 2006. At that point in time, I was at quite a fulfilling career in corporate IT, doing software integration for the banks and the insurance companies and the like. And he contacted me and said, here's the thing. I've taken this PSG model to heart. We've gone big on splitting commission, on specifically on paying referral fees to accounting firms and legal firms that we've partnered with that we refer business to each other. I need to keep track of this commission splitting accurately, timelessly, and at the moment we're doing it on spreadsheets and it's becoming more and more onerous and error prone. Don't you want to, you're an IT guy, don't you want to build us a system? So that was where it started, and after much thought and planning and discussion and analysis, I started developing a system, but not just for him, but for the industry. You know, I had a long think and talked to quite a few people in the industry about it, and realized there's really a need for this, not just for splitting commission, but for tracking commission, making sure that you've received everything that you're supposed to receive. If you happen to have external referrals, that's fine. But also just, if you're multiple advisors in a single practice or a business, often the guys divide revenue between them. Often a portion goes to the business. So there's a need for that. But then more than that, just to have that breakdown and understanding of your revenue, more than just what did you receive from all your providers, also what type of products, what type of income, is it direct advice fees nowadays, is it upfront initial income, is it recurring, and so forth. So that's really where it started, and it took a few years. It was just myself for a while as a side project, and then finally in 2015 we formalized the company. I met my partner in the business to be Marta, who's a very experienced chartered accountant, we really started getting good traction momentum from then on, and that's how it started.
No, it's fantastic. I love these startup stories just to hear, well, how did this even came about? So that's fantastic. So what were some of the early day challenges maybe that you faced in the business? I mean, it's great, doing this for your dad and you can program, I assume. I know you're like a BSc science, computer science person.
Yes, absolutely. Programming by career and eventually enterprise architecture for the big firms, both in South Africa and in Europe.
Okay. So obviously then you had that expertise and you had your dad. I mean, I guess also growing up in a household where your dad is an advisor, you do pick up some things over time from that, but then having that to say, I don't think there's a better business analyst than somebody that really knows the business and what are the things that they need to track and how it should work, etc. And then somebody who can actually build this. And but what were some of those early day challenges that you maybe faced when you just started, when it was just you? What were some of the challenges?
So I'll start with just maybe setting the scene a little bit. One thing that my corporate IT career, one big advantage that I got from that was I learned a lot about how not to build software. I was often involved in big projects, multi-year, multi-teams, blah blah blah, and there's a bit of a theme often that software gets over-engineered, too many features, too much design by committee, and all of that. So I went into the mindset when I approached this to say, there is no way that me, Johan Vosloo, who comes from an IT background primarily, that I'm going to build software and put it in front of financial advice and say, yeah, this is how you should be doing things. So I always went in with the idea that we're gonna build it from the ground up, take a bottom up approach, make it work practically, make everything that happens in on the platform needs to have value, be really useful and practical to the majority of financial advice practices out there. Okay, so that's how we went in. Challenges early, of course, married, kids, young kids. We also worked in a UK stint of 2.5 years in between because we wanted to do that before the kids went to school. And then balancing a full-time day job in corporate IT with this dream of putting something really useful and practical and of high value out there in the financial advisor market. So really time, keeping focused. It was a long stretch. The first, before minimum viable product was a term that software people used. Before there was even a term, that was the thinking went into it. So 3 months from the day that the idea was born, version 1, which was very rudimentary, but a working version was up and going. But then just expanding that and building it out and making a useful product to solve a real problem, that took some time. And just being alone for the first few years was tough. And then, funnily enough, after we got the team together and after we started operating as a proper company, so to speak, one of the biggest challenges we faced, and even today still, is just so much of the market, so many advisors out there, they're not aware that there are solutions like ours available. So either they don't track their revenue at a fine grained level, or they try and do it on Excel spreadsheets, which is labor intensive, error prone. Excel is a great analytical tool, but it's a terrible database. So just getting in front of the market and making them understand there's a better way. That was always a challenge, and it's still an ongoing education process for us.
So how did you balance, you have to build this thing, you need to talk to the end customer and understand what it is that they actually want, and you need to go and sell it and manage the finances, and I mean that must have been hectic.
So fortunately, in 2015, when I met my partner in the business, Martha, I basically struck gold because Martha is as untraditional a chartered accountant as you can ever find. She's a chartered accountant that loves people, loves to interact with people, loves a challenge. She's also, incidentally, very competitive sportswoman. She's a multi-national championship in triathlon. She's done the big one in Hawaii a few times. Other people read books or play golf for relaxation. She does, trail runs on the weekend for relaxation. She's a driven individual. So early on, we just clicked. We met on the first day, and it was just the instant. We just connected, and it was a very easy division of duties. She looked after growing the business. I looked after growing the tech platform, and from day one, we just built everything around that, and that really gave us a lot of traction. And we just put our head down. We didn't do. I thought for a long time that we talked about sales and marketing. We never actually did any marketing. We just did sales. So Martha did direct network-based sales, meeting people, just her energy and passion drove it initially, and then it was only later on that we started doing the more fully fledged marketing approaches. But just that division of labor that really was the breakthrough factor for us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess because people listening now goes like, come on, Francois, just get to the juicy stuff here. I'm like talking about the business and what was your challenges, but let's talk about Commspace and just what is the whole sort of soul, I guess, of Commspace? Who is the ideal sort of user for that? And just maybe what is currently the some of the functionality of Commspace?
Okay, so our target market, so to speak, or the people that most benefit from us are the so-called independent financial advisor practices in South Africa. So firstly, we're born in South Africa with input by financial advisors for financial advisors in South Africa. Secondly, we don't have a minimum business size or number of advisors in the practice or a revenue figure or anything like that. We've got we do anything from what we affectionately called one-man shows, individual advisors, just running their own practice, right up to big groups, multinational groups with offices and branches all over the country, and we purposefully do all of those with the same amount of passion and effort, because we firmly believe if we can offer a solution that works for Piet, that's been the financial advisor on in Piet Sonder Gat for the last 30 years, and Tannie Sunny who's his receptionist and his PA and picks up his dry cleaning and takes his kids to school and makes his appointments and also manages his commission on the side. If we can build a system and produce a platform that she can use successfully, then we've won. Because simplicity and ease of use are our foundational factors. Everything that we introduce in the system needs to pass those two bars first. Is a new feature? Is it going to add unnecessary complexity? Or not? If the answer is yes, then no, or come up with a better way to make it simple. And is it going to impact on the ease of use? So that's really what we aim for.
And I just mean that commission is not a simple thing. It is quite a complicated. It's one thing if you only earn sort of maybe, I don't know, even if just assets under management are simple, but I mean there's those things. But when you get into second years and first years on ACIs and it just becomes it's not a simple thing. So to have a tool that's actually simple and makes it easy for the user, and then you deal with the complexity in the background, I guess that's the success to most systems.
Absolutely. So we also affectionately refer to the product provider market out there in terms of commission and the information that they provide as the Wild West, simply because there aren't good standards across the industry. So I was in the UK for 2.5 years a few years ago. And amongst other things, I was involved with one of the big insurance firms in the UK, the old Norwich Union, which later rebranded to Aviva. And there I saw what the UK industry looks like in terms of maturity around understanding the importance of formats and standards for advisor revenue, amongst other things, not just that, but that was definitely one of the things that was very well covered. So I was I was Aviva's technical representative on the Origo Technical Steering Committee. Now Origo is this government mandated, like their version of of the old FSB. It was mandated to provide standards in terms of what information the product provider companies must make available to third-party providers and the public, and also how they should do it. What's the actual formats? So in 2009, 2010, when I was there, we had those meetings every quarter, and it was relatively dry affairs because it was so done, it was so well established, there wasn't that much to talk about. And here we are quite far from that, especially in the revenue space. Some of the other things are better understood and the rules are better applied. But in the revenue space, and it's nobody's really, it's not any particular company or person's fault. It's just there isn't the same amount of formalization of thought around it like there is, for example, in the UK. So that's both a challenge and an opportunity for us. It's a challenge for advisors and it's a challenge for us because it's part of our mission to take those various commission formats that comes in all kinds of flavors, flat files, CSV, text, XML, comma delimited, pipe delimited, fixed length, you name it, and try and get that into a standard format. And we do that. And we also apply some, I don't like the term thought leadership particularly, but we leverage our knowledge and experience in this area to categorize and standardize the information as we take it into our platform, so that what comes out is useful, standardized, classified information that really adds value to our clients.
What do most of your users use Commspace for? I mean, what do they do with Commspace?
Okay, so besides that, we make it, as I've explained now, that we make it easy, and I'm not sure I did a good job explaining how easy we make it, because we map all those providers for data formats, plus we have provider data feeds, all of that. So getting the data into the platform, we make that as easy as possible. We also centrally maintain all those mappings and all the yucky technical bits around getting the data in.
Maybe just clarify quickly what mappings are.
When we talk about mapping, we talk about mappings or statement mappings a lot. That's where we take the various formats from the product providers that they send their commission statements in. So each commission statement from each product provider looks different, right? First of all, the formats are different, meaning some are in text and some are Excel and some are PDF and all of that. But then also the way that they represent the information inside that, how they describe the revenue, how they include VAT or not, how they the frequency with which they present that. It's all different, as I'm sure I don't really have to explain too much to the financial advisors out there. I'm sure they're very familiar with this problem. So that's what we talk. That's what we mean when we talk about statement mapping. So that part of it, getting those very different formats of data into the system, we are very good at that, and we do really good things there. So besides that, we map all those over 1,000 providers that we support on the platform already. Besides that, we've mapped all their statement formats. We also get direct data feeds from certain of the larger providers already, and we're always increasing those and adding more of those. We've also got an experimental phase at this point. I must say we're using it internally, but we're soon going to roll it out to all our clients. A direct email to Commspace. We call it an email data feed, where a client can get an email inbox at Commspace, and he literally just forwards all his commission statements, either directly from the providers, or if he gets them, just forwards it to his email inbox, his dedicated email inbox at Commspace. And we then have a process in place that automatically extracts the attachments, recognizes the data in there, processes it, and gets it into the system. So that's all. So all that's solved. But that's just to get the data in there and make that as easy as possible. Where the real value lies then on the output side is really threefold at this point. Number one, we've talked a little bit about this before. It's a splitting of commission or of revenue, because of course there's direct advice fees in the mix nowadays as well. So dividing that revenue in any which way, shape or form. This is where Commspace was born, if you remember, originally to solve that problem. And we've really developed and evolved that, we call it our revenue allocation engine. That engine has really evolved to become quite powerful and support a huge number of different permutations of splitting revenue, flat fee based and percentage based and sliding scale percentage based and rolling time period. And you know what, the guys get quite creative with how they do that. And I must say we can really support most of what we've encountered. So that's the second thing, splitting commission. Once you only have to set up per product a rule once, and then it's set and forget, and the system automatically does it after that. The third thing, of course, then is to be able to report on that information, get the output, get it out in reports. So we've got a very nice flexible reporting engine where we provide some standard out-the-box reports to get folks started, but where the real power of that is the ability to build their own report template, select exactly which fields, which values that they want to see, and they save that as a template. And of course, we do reports all fully branded and customized with our clients their own logo and colors on the reports, and then they can save those as templates and build their own reporting. But of course, we help them with some of the more advanced things that's available on the platform as well. Our latest addition to the platform, which we're actually most excited about, is called Commspace Analytics, where we really took our time and thought long and hard and searched wide and low for the right solution for this, is to find a visual, it's called a business intelligence or a visual analytics provider that we can embed inside Commspace so that we can highlight all of this information that we get into the system, that we split, that we allocate, that we classify, that we can visually present it to our advisors. A little anecdote here. One of our oldest clients he's been with us since the early days, since he was still just me. And he's the principal of a big, thriving, successful practice. He's never actually logged into Commspace himself before. He always had admin folks operating Commspace on his behalf, and he was just interested in the reports that he would get. But the other day he was walking past the desk of the admin lady that manages their Commspace account, and he stopped and he looked and he asked, "What's that?" Because she was looking at our new analytics, and it's all visual, interactive, beautiful, dynamic graphs. You click on one graph or a slice in a pie chart, and everything updates to reflect that filter. It's really a fun thing to play with and very powerful. And he walked past it and he noticed it, and she said, "Look, come look! It's the new Commspace Analytics feature." And he sat down, and literally an hour later she called us and she said, "You won't believe what just happened. The boss," as she calls him, just sat down. And he was sitting with me for half an hour. After hour 4 or 5 of the other advisors were standing in a half circle behind us. And he was like birds in a bush. They were so excited about, seeing their data come alive. And, that's exactly why we built it. That was exactly the spot that we knew we weren't hitting yet. Because before that, we were really a back office administration system, similar to an accounting package or so. But we always wanted to really lift and provide information that's useful to the practice owners, to the business owners, that they can actually directly interact with. And I think we're really hitting a sweet spot since we've launched this latest offering.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how many users do you have at the moment?
So we've got just shy under 200 practices in South Africa, but practices means from one-man shows to big multinational groups. So it's probably more useful to talk about advisors. We've got just shy of 1,000 advisors who we administer their revenue for on our platform. So, we've really grown from in the last 4 years from a very, very small base to this in about 4 years. I mean, and we're quite proud of that because it's been from the ground up. We've always said we're going to start with the small practices, and we've got clients all over, Ventersburg and Nelspruit and Piet Retief and East London and all over the country. And we said we're going to start with all the smaller practices, and we're going to solve that. We're going to make sure that we build a product that really works for them, and then we're going to layer onto the big guys. Because I think other software providers sometimes, they just want to go for the big corporates and the big wins and the big contracts because that's where the money is. We're not about that. We're about becoming a household name really in the country because we're so passionate about solving this really real world problem. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning, building the next, what's it called, face app clone or frivolous piece of software. That just doesn't interest us. Software is there to serve a purpose, to serve people, to make lives easier, and that's why we wield it and we use it and that's our mission. That's really what we want to achieve.
Yeah, and I think, if you talk about the one man like IFA or woman, so I think a lot of times they look at the fees that they need, and I want to get to the fees and the all of that just now, but so don't jump ahead. But just from that perspective, because I consult with a lot of advisors, I will tell them, listen, you need this and this and this. Here you can speak to Commspace, there you can speak to this one, there you can speak to that one. And then sometimes I get the feedback later on with all the systems. I say like, no, this one is too expensive and this is this. And no, I would rather still do it myself. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, don't you get like how much time you can save? I don't care if you can do it yourself. It's like, this is one of those things where whatever the fees are to pay for Commspace, it just makes sense, specifically from that point of view where they still, because I think there's these two sides to it. The one side is, because if I understand correctly, and we can maybe talk about that quickly, is you have this option of do it yourself or to outsource it. Can we talk about those two options? Because I think sometimes they think, so I need to pay an amount to get my stuff into the system, and then I still need to do a lot of the work. So why am I like? So where's the benefit? And just maybe with that. But let's start with the outsource versus the do-it-yourself option.
We approach it like this. If software isn't used, it's not worth anything. So no matter how much money, people, resources, time, everything you throw at software, if the intended end users, number one, can't afford it. Number two, it's too complicated for them to understand it. Number three, it's not a joy and a pleasure to use, and they like using it. Then you've really missed the pot. This is why I'm an Apple fan. The brand Apple, because. Not because it's cool and fashionable to like Apple products, because I really, really appreciate the amount of thought that goes into their industrial design. It goes into everything from the unboxing experience of every Apple product to how easy it is to get started with it, and how easy it is to use it, and the build quality, everything around it, and that's really what we try and do. So we said let's clear as much obstacles as we can away. Let's make it as easy and as affordable for even for one-man shows to get started on a platform. So how do we achieve that? Number one, our licensing model is very straightforward. It's a flat fee per advisor per month, and it's an all-inclusive fee. You know exactly what you're paying. You're never going to pay 1 cent more than that. That includes a fully what we call our white glove onboarding experience. So we take full control. It's a mini project that we manage. We analyze your business, we understand it, all aspects of it, around the revenue side of it. We source all your data for you. If you've got good data, fantastic. If you don't, fantastic. We'll source it for you. We'll work with you. We know how to engage with the providers on your behalf to get it. We get 1 month's worth of revenue data into our system, completely bank reconciled with your bank. All your splits applied, your client portfolio in there, and we hand you over a fully configured account with a beautiful set of reports. It gives you beautiful insights that you've never had, ever had this level of insights before without you having, and then you haven't paid a cent yet, okay? Then you decide, yes, I want to go on or not. I want to say we have never had somebody who at that point have not decided to go on with us. People are so impressed at that point in time with the level, effort, commitment, and the good quality information that comes out of the system. So that's, everybody gets that. After that point, you've got an option. You can either say, okay, happy with this, now train me and get me going, and I'll manage the Commspace myself. And that's really our goal. We want people to be able to use our software. That's why we keep it simple and straightforward and easy to use, so they really can. And then for those people, we call it, that's on our self-service option. They get, all you can eat support, all you can eat training for free. It's all included in that one flat monthly fee. We really believe in doing what it takes to get people and keep people successful on our platform. That's the bottom line, and that's the thing that I like to believe differentiates us from some other software vendors and service providers. For us, it's all about the adoption. Okay, but a few years ago, we realized there's a big need in the market for, even though our software is easy to use, even though we do all that, and even though it's affordable, some of our clients, financial advisor firms, they are just either too busy, or it's just, or they recognize it's not their core, it's not core to their mission. It is something that they want. They really want the information, but they rather want to, use their people, apply them more effectively in the business, not have them sit working on admin systems like this. So for them, our so-called outsource option was born. And really what we do, we take then ownership of your entire revenue management function, in terms of making sure that we get all the commission that you earn in a month, get all your advice fees from you, get it all in the system, make sure it's reconciled, keep track of new business, and provide you with reports. So that includes with payment advices, if it's a practice that splits and pays their advisors based on commission that they share in the practice, or if it's just for business intelligence and what we call revenue analytics. We do have very successful practices which has switched to a fixed salary model for their advisors, and they're not so interested in the splitting part, but they still do want to track the production, how much revenue each of their providers contributes to the business, but then also the breakdown of that per product provider, per product category, per commission type, per client. We're big on client segmentation, which I haven't even touched on yet. But that's really what we do and what we offer in a nutshell.
Talking about that, it's obviously, Commspace is one of for me, it's like a must-have. You must have a system that you can manage your finances with. So if you look at to have a business, you need sort of 5 things. You need value creation, and that's what people are very good coming up with, value propositions and all that kind of stuff. You've got to be able to do marketing, you've got to be able to do sales. And then once you've sold something, you need to be able to deliver that value. And then the 5th thing is finance. So you can't run a proper business without managing the finance part of it. And this will give you insights into things I guess you never knew possible, simply because the data is there. So I think, and I love what you're calling it, like revenue analytics. It's a different RA, eh? It's not the RA that advisors know. But I think it's awesome. And from that point of view, it'll be fantastic if this integrates with other systems. Now, I know, because I do my homework, that you do integrate. But which systems do you currently integrate with? And then are there a couple of other systems that's in the works, if you can talk about that, just so that people know that, listen, you can actually have this one nice system if you just plug in the right things.
Oh, absolutely, Francois. So this is partly driven from my history in corporate IT, where I spent my life integrating systems for the corporates. That was a large part of what we did, was just to figure out how to make the various systems from the various departments and sub-companies and business units of the corporates, to make those systems talk to each other, because the corporates have got the same problem as what the advisors have. The advisors have got a number of systems in their practice, and because they buy in, advisors today are savvy. They really are impressive. They really understand that to have a effective practice and to do good practice management, you need to incorporate software. But now they've got a bunch of those systems, and they actually have got exactly the same nature of a problem as what the corporates have, which is if they're not careful, they end up with silos of information. They end up with data that sits in different systems, and it's often overlapping related data, but because they're different systems from different vendors, they don't talk to each other. So like I said, because I come from that background, I understand the need for that, and also because it's just kind of obvious. If everybody runs into a practice and tries to sell software which is self-serving and then think about how does this fit into the entire practice management suite and support practice management, that's a lose-lose situation. It's a lose situation for the vendor, because eventually they're going to fizzle out, and it's a lose for the practice, because they're going to end up with another system sitting with siloed data. So integration is for us one of our core drivers, and we've gone big on that, and we are going even bigger on that. So we are integrated with all the well-known players in the market, with @Work, FSP Hub, Workpool, busy with our Elite Wealth integration, talking to some of the investment and wealth management platforms out there, like the Seed Analytics and those guys. And we continue to look for integration opportunities for the simple reason, the more integrated an offering and a cohesive offering we can bring, the more value we all collectively as financial software providers in our space, the more value we collectively add to the financial services industry. The pie is big enough. It's about offering as much value and as much cohesive, integrated solution as we possibly can. And one of the best ways to do that is just to make sure that you integrate it, you don't duplicate data, you avoid capturing data twice, you ensure you lift the accuracy of the data, you make the people that needs to operate all this stuff make their lives easier, because you remove a lot of complexity and redundancy. It's just, for us, an absolute no-brainer. So we're always driving towards automation. It's key for us.
Yeah, and I mean, you take out that duplication of work and just, as you say, you just minimize errors, so they become much more efficient and effective at the same time. So it's a must. I mean, I've spoken a long time ago about this whole thing where people need to start integrating, because there were some excellent systems, but I don't know. It's like we always try to build this one thing that must be the beginning and the ending of all of everything. And I think people are finally starting to see the light. I know that in my previous episodes, I spoke to Trevor from @Work actually, and Trevor, they've built @Work, or they rebuilt from the ground up, and now where previously, I mean, they started back in '98, long before cloud was a word. They started building this thing in the cloud. They just didn't know where it was. They just know it was in the air somewhere. But they built that system. And now they got to a point where they realized, so the more flexible, if we want to be flexible, we must be able to integrate, we must be able to configure, we must be able to do translations easily and things like that. And I know it's things that maybe years ago wasn't a big thing, but now it definitely is. So I'm so happy to see that the systems providers are moving to that, and even making the investment. I mean, that was a 2.5 year investment for @Work to actually do that. So it's awesome to see that they move there and they make it so much easier. Then if you build your APIs, they've got theirs, and just to integrate then makes it so much easier. And I guess that whole process then, it's not custom development every time, is it?
Oh no, so absolutely. So specifically @Work, we've got a great relationship with them. In fact, we met with Pierre last week in Stellenbosch for 2 hours in a beautiful little coffee shop, and we talked all about how we're going to extend our current integration, how we're going to add more to it, how we're going to make it more bi-directional, so we make sure the data flows backward and forwards better. And Pierre gets it. Like us, he sees the value of it. Our clients often come to us and ask us, don't you want to add this? Don't you want to add that? Geez, you guys give us such great revenue data. Don't you want to build a CRM? And don't you want to? And the answer is very simple. It's no, politely, and we explain why. There are very good CRM solutions out there. Both in the bespoke space, like the broker practice management systems that's geared for the financial services in South Africa. Also in the general cloud space, the Salesforces and those of the world. So some people like those. The point is that area, there are good players in that space. So we're not going to devolve and dilute our offering and really divert our attention. We want to stay focused on what we do. What we do is revenue management. But we one cog in the wheel. So if we land in a practice, you really like to integrate. So that's also why we're looking at integrating with Xero, which is a very popular accounting practice nowadays. We use Xero internally in our company for our own accounting. We love it. So we're going to be integrating with Xero soon. We're looking at Salesforce integration. It is just a no-brainer.
Absolutely. So there's two more things I want to talk to you about. So the one thing is we have a mutual friend I know where, and I think with them you're looking at doing some quite interesting client segmentation. I don't know if I've got that right or not, but I know that you've been working, or Martha specifically has been working a lot with him. And I know that it's some fantastic stuff. Was that the client segmentation stuff you were referring to earlier?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you talk a bit about it?
Oh, absolutely. So I've touched on splitting, understanding providers, product categories, commission types, all that. But of course, something which a lot of advisory practices out there think about, but don't often go down to the level of detail that they would like to go down, mostly because they never really had good data, is to understand their revenue breakdown from a client perspective. So what do we mean by that? So we mean, yes, you receive income from a bunch of providers. That's easy. It's these types of products, and that's also relatively easy. It recurs on these cycles. That's also okay. But let's look at the client base. So especially now with a focus nowadays, and in our opinion, it's really the right direction to move more towards fee-based advice and rely less on big upfront commissions from product providers, the insurance companies. It becomes more and more important for advisors to really understand their client base from all angles, but also from a revenue angle. So it gives them insights like to understand. We do an age demographic breakdown where we give them a very nice, simple to understand view to say, here's your entire client base. Here's the percentage of revenue that you get in each of your 10-year brackets. Your clients that's between 20, 30, 30, 40, etc. And then we often lift out things for them like, if you just have a quick look here, you'll see, for example, 70% of your revenue or 75% of your revenue comes from your client base that's 60 years or older. Okay, that's a potential problem. But let's look at the other of the picture. The 30% of your client base, where 30% of your revenue lie, in actual numbers, you've got a lot more younger clients. Okay, so they're not spending so much yet, they're not investing so much yet, or that type of thing. So we lift those type of insights out, and it's guys are finding it really, really valuable to understand the nature of their clients better, because ultimately it allows them to identify the type of clients and the nature of their clients better, to make sure that they are building the right client base that they are a better fit or the best fit for. It's just another view and another angle, which guys often, they all want. All advisors really want to understand their client base, but it's another angle which they've never had, and they'll be able to give them. And it's been very successful for the advisors that really look deeper into that.
I think one of the biggest challenges obviously is, like, everybody wants to do segmentation, and then we go back to the good old, this is my platinum, my gold, my this, my that, and we come up with a definition for each. But there's no real data behind it, because to get all of that information together into one place it's just undoable almost. Until you came along. So then lastly, I just want to touch on the fees. So what are the options? You said that it's a flat fee per advisor. But I guess there's a difference between the self-service and the outsource model. Can you just maybe elaborate for the people listening, like what are the kind of fees that they're looking at?
Sure. So absolutely. So it's quite easy. For a smaller advisor practice, that's up to 10 advisors, it's a simple flat fee of 500 Rand per advisor per month. And that's it. That includes everything, all the onboarding, all the training, all the support that I was talking about before. 500 Rand a month, that's it, flat fee. If they choose to go with our outsource option, it's a little bit more. It's 1,500 Rand a month. But bearing in mind then that we take all the effort and all the work away from them, and we think it's really still quite a value add for the practices out there.
No, definitely. And I mean, you can't appoint somebody, if there's 2 advisors and they appoint someone to run their commissions for them. If they pay somebody 3,000 Rand a month, I'm going to be very worried about the numbers that come out of there. So there's just no way you can appoint somebody to really just do that. And you can rather have your staff focus on the things that's really going to make money, because this is important. You need to manage your money. But this doesn't necessarily make you money, although you can get insights from it that will say, but maybe here's an opportunity, or, well, maybe we need to look at this and do less of that and do more of this. So obviously it'll do things like that. But this is more about managing money, and just to sort of, I guess something that your system will make, will be very good at, is also just forecasting what's still coming, because that's something that's missing. You phone any of the corporates. Like, I would love for any of them to sort of let us know, like, what is the second year commissions that will pay to somebody in 6 months' time or whatever. Because I know when I was there, it was just, they can't tell you. And I know they know, but there's just, the reporting doesn't show it. And is that something that Commspace could do?
Sure. So we excel at tracking what we call actuals, right? So we're very good at tracking what you actually received, and we're also very good at lifting out anomalies there. So you will be amazed at the anomalies that we lift out for simple things like VAT, value added tax. From obvious things where an advisor practice maybe was not VAT registered before, but now they are. But for some reason, not all the providers that they deal with have adjusted on their side. So now these guys still get commission statements that includes VAT where it shouldn't, or should, or doesn't include VAT where it should. Those are the more obvious ones. But then even more subtler ones, where how the information is presented from the product houses often often there's some exceptions in it, and they mix and match, how they represent VAT. And it's difficult if you're just looking at a statement, you just work on the total to actually get accurate, VAT calculations from that. In fact, one of our favorite clients, who's very tech savvy, they don't split commission at all. They advise are all on fixed salary. They went through this exercise with us, and after within the first 3 months, they discovered, in his own words, because his testimonial is on our website, but in his own words, they discovered such big mistakes that they could now rectify, which they never knew about, that just paid for Commspace, just paid for itself for years to come. So that's a big one. So in terms of so before I go into projection, the other one is just gaps in income, missing income. Again, you'll be amazed at how often that happens, especially when there's when business gets transferred between advisors, when clients and products of clients get switched between advisors or between companies. There's trailer fees, there's all kinds of things which somehow something goes wrong somewhere and somebody stops getting what he's supposed to get. But often due to the volume of those transactions, it's a lot of little rands and cents, but they add up. But the point is, because because of the volume, it just gets lost. So we're very good at highlighting those. In terms of projection, we're very careful with that, because we're very careful to project what we can't absolutely project accurately. We're all about trying to get you as good quality, accurate information we can. So we do some level of projection, but it's an area that we slowly increasing on, because we want to be sure that when we project that we can really give you, it's never going to be perfect, right? It's a projection, but at least it's an accurate, or as good as we can get at accurate representation of what should happen in the next 6, 12 to 18 months. Yeah. So that area we're always working on and enhancing it.
Awesome. Where can people get hold of you if they are interested to get a demo or to chat to you? Where can they get hold of Commspace?
The very simplest thing is just to go to our website. It's simply Commspace with 2 M's, COMMSPACE, Commspace.co.za, and everything is on there. Our contact details on there. If they want to give us a phone call, they're very welcome. It's 0861 477 774, and we're always available on there. But everything on the website, and it's just easy to drop by and have a chat with us. There's a live chat type link on our website. You can click on it, and somebody will engage with you on that way. If you prefer that, we'll be in touch.
Awesome. Johan, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. It's quite interesting. I work a lot with the F&A kind of systems, and it was very refreshing to speak to somebody who's doing something completely different, and that is so necessary in what it is that the advisors do. And I guess there's opportunity to actually expand that into other professions, maybe, if you look at it. But thank you very much for taking the time. We did this here in Joburg. You were here visiting clients, etc., from Cape Town. So I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll chat soon again. So thank you very much.
Francois, thank you. It's been absolutely awesome. We battled a little bit to get time together, and I'm really glad we made it. And and thank you for you. Thanks for what you're doing with the Propulsion podcast. I think it's a really valuable resource for the industry at large, and I'm really happy that you're doing it.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and until we meet again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Propulsion. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or your favorite podcasting platform. This will help us tremendously. For more about Propulsion and other valuable information, please visit our website at propulsion.co.za.